Hi there, it's Kaizen, aka a bad thumbs up YouTuber. And today we have to talk about how EMEA crashed and burned at Masters Madrid, only winning 20% of their games. It was so bad that people were crying for Fnatic to show up and save this region, or at least joking about it. However, I want to look at the results to see the validity of this claim of EMEA being a zero-team region, and see what teams can possibly turn this narrative around in Shanghai and Champs, while doing a power ranking in the process too. So first we're going to start with surface level results and eventually work our way to nitpicking both Corp and Team Heretics performances. And right off the bat, if you see that a team only won 1 out of 5 games, then you can see why people are calling EMEA a no-team region. However, I've always been a fan of how a team wins and loses versus if they just win and lose. Because at the end of the day, Valorant is a second chance esports where throughout the season, a team can have a major bounce back and rewrite narratives. And if we look at the maps, it's a lot better, where EMEA won 5 maps and only lost 8. But what really shocked me was the round differentials of just -1, where they won 143 rounds and lost 144. That right off the bat tells me that they've been in a lot of close games and just could not pull out towards the end. It's very reminiscent of Crew of last year, where they lost a lot of close maps and came out of nowhere to go on a crazy run after being down 0-9 during the regular season of Americas. So if we look into history, I wouldn't be surprised if both Corp and or Team Heretics are able to turn heads in Shanghai or Champs 2024. But the question is, how did they even get to a point where both EMEA teams were only able to squeak out 1 win? Now, when we talk about Karmine Corp's struggles, I want to look at this logically and nonsensical too. And right off the bat, people are going to say that Corp lost these matches because of inexperience, which I guess there's some truth to that, because only Magnum and Shin had tier 1 playtime, where Shin played during lock-in even though every team was invited to that event, and then Magnum had a lot of reps under Fnatic back in the day. And should they even have Coach Ing, who was part of Gambit's master title run. However, it was kind of odd to see them struggle against the likes of FPX, because they were whiffing shots that I saw them make all the time. I think playing against other regions really opened their eyes to how different they are to EMEA. Look at Genji. A lot of people describe them as playing a very standard and good fundamental Valorant, but even they can mix things up from time to time to throw teams off. And ever since last year, PaperX has been known for their set plays just feeling quite suffocating, where you just can't really predict them at all. Some of that is to plan and some of that is to them just freestyling. Or like how Jing explains.
To be honest, it's a pleasure to play against them. Really, we're learning a lot from this game. So yeah, I don't know, like, but what can I say? It's hard to read them because of this like unique style. Yeah, and I don't know what to say, to be honest. But we will try our best.
It's hard to read them.
So, yeah.
Of course, it's hard to read them. They don't even know what they are doing themselves, man. How can you know? Like, it's random, you know? Just do whatever you want to do. Unreadable, man. Like, if I was playing last time, I just want to do something, I just do it, man. And then, like, if I don't want to do it, I just don't do it. So you can't read it because I don't even know what I'm gonna do.
And now I want to go to the nonsensical take, where I blame Corp's struggles on their jerseys, mainly based on the Deion Sanders quote, where he says, "If you look good, you feel good, you play good." And I like to always bring this up that I'm not an expert, I'm a fan of the game who just happens to make Valorant videos. Even though the white ones aren't that bad, it's just the blue ones in comparison are just that much better. And shoot, at the end of the day, your team motto is based off of one color. They don't call you Blanc et Bleu, it's Les Bleus. We all remember how bad they were last year. And guess what the color of their jerseys were? Yeah, that's right, it wasn't blue. Coincidence? I think not. I believe so much in this nonsensical take that I'm willing to die on this hill. So yeah, feel free to clip this and ship it. If Corp keeps wearing these white jerseys, they won't make it to Master Shanghai. And with that out the way, let's bring a little bit more logic into this topic. First of all, Karmine Corp went against Sentinels, the eventual Masters Madrid winners. And they could have realistically beat them on Lotus. They were only 2 rounds off. And if they were able to pull that off, who knows what would have happened on Bind. But I guess we'll never know. Then we have PaperX, as we mentioned earlier. They've been known for their set plays being quite suffocating, and I can see maybe that argument of experience coming into play, where if you're not used to playing against a different region's tactics, then adjusting to that on the fly could be a very tall task to handle. However, if you look at their matchup against PaperX, they played 3 maps, and only one of them had a round differential greater than 5. It was Lotus, where they beat PaperX by 7 rounds. The other two were very close where PRX were able to pull through. But you saw them run a very offensive team comp, which puts a lot of pressure on you to win those games on the attacker end. However, it still wasn't a blowout, so I don't know if you can fully blame the team comp for that result. And we already know how these narratives work. If they won by 3, no one would be talking about their team comp. And as I mentioned, they won Lotus by 7 rounds. And it might just be their best map, especially on the A site. Winning by 7 rounds is quite insane to me. And another thing I do have to point out is that their comp wasn't anything crazy. It was a pretty well balanced one. And then Ascent itself went into overtime where they ran 3 initiators, very similar to the same one that M80 ran in Tier 2 of Americas. Then we have Team Heretics again, who had home crowd advantage, but extremely inexperienced too, where Boo was the only one who had Tier 1 international playtime. And then we all know about Benji Fishy. I guess you could do a lot of mental gymnastics and say that he has international experience too, just on Fortnite instead of Valorant. I'm not too sure if there's much correlation there. I think that's really nasty work to make that argument, so we can roll him out too. Same thing with Rienz, who by the way, this was his first time playing with the team on LAN, and he did pretty well throughout the tournament too. And shoot, you could say their best player was Miniboo, who was their rookie, which is why I don't really lean too much into the whole inexperience biting them in the butt. At the end of the day, the best of the best were in Masters Madrid. They just lost to the best of the best, but it wasn't even like it was a blowout. They were pretty close games. Again, they faced Sentinels, the tournament winners, and they went 3 maps, and only one of those 3 maps had a round differential greater than 5. Sunset, where they beat them by 8. And ironically, just like K-Corp, they faced Paper X in an elimination game and were pushed to 3 maps. And I think Team Heretics versus Paper X may have low-key been the match of the tournament. Every round felt like a highlight because of how much heroic plays were made in the clutch, as well as how each map felt very close and could have gone either way at one point in time. And now let's talk about which teams can kind of flip that narrative of a 0-team region for EMEA. And we're going to be doing a power ranking while doing this too. So I think we have to put Team Heretics and Karmine Corp at the top. I'm willing to put Team Heretics higher than Karmine Corp, mainly because they look more impressive. And a little of this is just me joking, but if Karmine Corp keeps wearing the white jerseys, I'm willing to put them in 7th. But without me trolling, I think putting them number 2 is fair. And just because of EMEA's kickoff results, I think we'll put BBL last. But hey, don't be mad at me, Turkish fans, because I'm gonna still keep Foot Esports number 3 and Fnatic 4th, which I know could be a little bit of a hot take, just because I know a lot of people still have Fnatic in the top 3. Some people still even have Fnatic number 1, which is more than fair. When a team has such a dominant season previously, it's okay to give them a grace period for like 1 tournament. But based on what we've seen in kickoffs, I personally think Foot Esports played against Karmine Corp and Team Heretics a lot better than Na'Vi and Fnatic did. They look more impressive, which is why I'm keeping them in 3rd. And then Fnatic is just Fnatic 4th. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being number 1 again of EMEA. Next is Na'Vi. They still have the dynamic duo of Xiao and Sugetsu. Artis is looking a lot better on this team than he did on NRG. And ever since Clove came out, everyone's been saying Angel just got a buff in the tournament, but hopefully Na'Vi can find some use for this new agent. And then you also have Zipan, who's a pretty solid initiator too. He has been playing a little bit of Raze, which hasn't looked the most impressive. And honestly, if you look at all of EMEA, I think this region might have like the weakest Raze talent pool. I'm confident in saying that America's and Pacific Raze talent pool is better. And I might even lump in China's too, right? And we are kind of in a Raze meta, even though a team like NRG has shown that they can push Sentinels very deep on Sunset with using Jet instead. Same thing with Team Heretics using Neon. So there are some workarounds, but that is one thing that I have to keep my eye out on, is which teams can dominate in this like Raze go-to meta. I'm comfortable with putting Vitality here. They did pretty well against Fnatic, but they also had blowouts here and there. I can see if like top teams sleep on them, they can like squeak some wins here and there and possibly do well on the international stage. Basically, teams from here and up, I think, have a good shot at doing well on the international stage. Vitality is a little bit of a reach since we haven't seen them on the international stage, but if they can get their acts together, I could definitely see them do it. The rest of these teams from 7 through 9, and even including Vitality, I can see all of them kind of like in the same tier. But I'm happy with Gentlemates at being at number 7, mainly because when I look at them, they seem like one of the few teams that has pretty solid Raze players in Takas and Nathan. And if they've been cooking things up during this offseason, I could see them being a little bit better. I'm gonna put Giants at number 8. They're similar to Team Vitality, where they did decent against Foot Esports and K Corp. However, they did have quite drastic swings. Plus, they are making roster changes, which will either make them very good or basically just stay the same as well. I'm not too sure about how these players will work, and I'm not really the most knowledgeable on these players that they're swapping in and out with. And next we have Team Liquid at the 9th spot. I low-key wanted to put them higher, but that would just be me smoking the copium. As someone who likes the org, they just have to prove it to us that they can get the job done. Like I said, 7 through 9 or even 6 through 9, I can see these teams being interchangeable to an extent. And I know a lot of people are going to say that Koi beat Team Liquid, and the overall score between those two teams is 1-1, right? They did a good job at getting into play-ins. We'll give them credit for that. But overall, I think on Team Liquid's best days, I think they're better than Koi on their best days. Again, I'm no expert, I'm just a fan of the game and I like to make these videos. I know in my previous power rankings, I had Team Heretics and K Corp really low before kickoff started. I do remember my Pick'ems video that I said I saw the potential of either K Corp or Team Heretics. I'm not too sure which one I said, but I said that they could make deep runs in the future this season. It was one of them. I'm not entirely sure which one. And which of these organizations do you think has the best chance to change that narrative? Till next time, stay safe and I'll be yapping in the next one.